Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you the new deck that is coming to the TCG with Phantom Nightmare, the Silent Forcer, or Voices Voice as it will be called here in the TCG. I will show you the base combo and then one advanced one. We will also look at the cards so you understand what this deck does and can decide whether you want to pick it up in the TCG or maybe later on in Master Duel. So we will start with the one card combo with the Novox, the Silent Forcer Disciple, which is one of the most important cards in the deck. Let's just read this. If you ritual summon exactly one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire tribute, which is already quite strong. And then this also has an, if this card is normal or special summoned on search or on summon effect, you can place one Silent Force continuous spell and trap from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. And then this also has the effect, if a Light Warrior and or Dragon Ritual monster is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So a lot of effects, very, very impactful. Let's just see what we are doing here. We, of course, are going to normal summon this card and activate its effect. This allows us to, as I already read, set a Silent Force continuous spell or trap into the spell and trap zone, which obviously is quite nice because then we are able to basically activate it and use it at the moment it is placed there, which is obviously important for a trap card, which we will see in a moment. And we have placed the Silent Forcing Barrier. While you control Novox, the Silent Forcer Disciple, this guy here, and a Light Ritual monster, which we will see in a moment. Your opponent monster can only target Ritual monsters for attacks, which can be very impactful, as we will see when we do the first Ritual summon, because some of the monsters have bonus effects when the Novox is on the field. So being able to protect this is quite nice. And then during the main phase, you can add one Silent Force card or one Skull Guardian Ritual monster from your deck to your hand, except Silent Forcing Barrier. So we are going to activate the effect of the barrier, grabbing us the Saphira, the Wise Silent Forcer Queen, which is also a new card coming to us. It's a dragon, a level 6, 2/5, 2/4. You can discard this card, send one, this is cost, send one Ritual spell from your deck to the graveyard. Then you can add one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster from your deck to your deck or graveyard to your hand. So you can see it's all about these Warrior, Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monsters, which we will see in a moment. You can banish this card, a second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, which will summon one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal or exceed the levels of the ritual monster you ritual summon. So this we will also see in a moment. We will now use the first effect to discard this and then send one ritual spell from our deck to the graveyard. Let's just do this. We discard the card. And then we are going to send the Silent Forcing Prayer. This card can be used to ritual summon any Light Ritual monster. So this is a ritual spell, obviously. This is not the important effect that we can use it for. But if this is in the graveyard, it says if a face up a Light Ritual monster, which we will have in a moment, you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard, special summon one Sauravis, the Ancient and Ascendant, which we'll see in a moment. Saphira, Queen of Dragons, which is the card we have. Oh no, it's another card, but it's the old version of Saphira. Or Skull Guardian, the Silent Forcing Protector, which this is the card we will see in a moment here from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So we have activated the effect of Saphira, which allows us to now search out the first ritual monster, which is our Skull Guardian, the Silent Forcing Protector. You might know the Skull Guardian from before. This is an old card, but this is a new ritual monster card, which funnily enough has the original attack of the Skull Guardian. You can ritual summon this card. This is our Light Ritual monster that we have basically read about on every card that we have read as of right now. You can ritual summon this card with Silent Forcing Prayer, which is the card in the graveyard here. Obviously, we won't do it with that card. Silent Forcing Prayer gains a 250 attack while Novox, the Silent Forcer Disciple, is on your field or in your graveyard. So this is quite nice if this is on the field and also the Novox here or in the graveyard. So you are protected, remember, because when a Light Ritual monster is in the field, then only this one can be attacked. So your opponent cannot attack the Novox, but has to attack this one, which then has 4,100 attack, so quite a lot. This has more attack then. You can only use each of following effects of Skull Guardian as a Silence Forcing Protector once per turn. If this card is a ritual summoned, you can add one Silent Force monster or one Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster. So once again, the Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster thing, that is basically a staple of this deck. From your deck to your hand, and when your opponent activates a card or effect, while you control this guy here, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So really, really strong here. This is an Omni negate that also destroys. So if you have this on field, you can obviously use it at every point, every turn. The thing that we can do now is use the Saphira's effect, which says you can manage this card from your graveyard, ritual summon one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster from your hand, the Skull Guardian, the Silence Forcing Protector, and now we can ritual summoning him by just using the Novox, because remember, Novox said if you ritual summon exactly one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster, you can use this as the entire cost. So we just get the Novox to the grave, we summon the Skull Guardian, and the next thing we can do is resummon the Novox because, as we have already read, if a Light Warrior and or Dragon Ritual monster is special summoned to your field where this is in your graveyard, you can special summon it. So we were able to resummon this, and now we can also use the search effect of the Skull Guardian, the Silence Forcing Protector, to search the Sour Abyss, which is an old card. You can ritual summon this card with Sprite's Blessing, not that important. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster you control, for example an Imperm, quick effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. And when your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters, quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, negate that special summon, and if you do, banish that monster. We will be able to get this to the field, so that is impactful, but as of right now, this is a basically hand interruption or hand dodge, if you will. So this is the setup we have at the moment. Remember, we have started with the Novox here. What you can now do is that you go for a Dynamondo, which you can make by using two monsters, including a ritual monster. So we are getting these two to the grave, and now we are basically passing to our opponent, because Dynamondo reads during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card, then target one ritual monster in your graveyard, either add it to your hand or special summon it. And this will allow us to do an additional play here. So let's see what we can do here. So let's just imagine we are on the opponent's turn, and we are going to activate Dynamondo, which goes to grave and resummons the Skull Guardian, the Silence Forcing Protector. Because we have resummoned this guy, we can also resummon the Novox because of its card effect. We are now not able to use the Ritual Summon effect because this card was not Ritual Summoned, but we can use Novox effect because we are on our opponent's turn to set another continuous spell and trap. And this is where the effect of Novox really comes into play, because now we can set a trap that is live at the moment we are setting it. We have Silence Forcing Authority, which reads, during the main phase you can activate one of these effects, shuffle one Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster or one Ritual spell from your hand or graveyard into the deck, and if you do, take one Silence Force monster from your deck, either add it to your hand or special summon it. Can be quite effective, but we already have the negate in the play. We can also use the second effect, target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Light Warrior and or Dragon Ritual monsters you control, so in this case 1, destroy both them and this card. So this is another interruption that we have. We have the Omni negate, we have the Soul Ravis from the hand, and we also have the Silence Forcing Prayer in the grave, which, remember, reads, if a face-up Light Ritual monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect. So if our Skull Guardian gets destroyed, then we are able to special summon one Soul Avis, the Ancient Ascendant, which is the dragon we have in hand, which then would be a special summon monster bounce. Or we can, if this card, the Skull Guardian, gets destroyed, we can just summon another Skull Guardian from our deck. So we are basically protected against this one being destroyed once, so we can resummon it. So we have the Omni negate, we have the interruption from the trap, we have the Sour Avis interruption, and then our spell in the graveyard. This is what you can achieve by using the one card combo, but now we will look at a scenario in which you can use more cards than only the Novox. So now let's look at a different combo where you can use your pre-preparation of rites and your Diviner of the Herald, which obviously in your ritual deck makes sense. We are starting off with activating the pre-prep of rites, which allows us to add one ritual spell from our deck to the hand and add one ritual monster from deck or graveyard to the hand, whose name is mentioned on the ritual spell. So this goes to grave, and we are adding the Skull Guardian that we have seen before, and also the Silent Forcing Prayer, which we've also seen before and have dumped to the grave. Next one is that we are activating Diviner of the Herald, so we can dump a fairy into the grave, and we will dump the Trias Hierarchy, which the main thing or the main use of this card is that it says during the main phase, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, which it is at the moment, you can tribute up to 3 fairy monsters to special summon this. And the Diviner also has the bonus effect, if this card is tributed, you can special summon one level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck. So this is something we will use in a moment. We will now attribute the Diviner to summon the Hierarchy, and now Diviner in the grave will activate, so we can summon our Novox. Novox can now activate to set, as we have done before, the Silence Forcing Barrier, which we can now use to grab to our hand the Zafira. This is exactly the same as we did before. We activate the Zafira, goes to the grave, and now we can also dump, this was a misclick, dump a Silence Forcing card into the grave. We are dumping the Silence Forcing Prayer, same as before here. The next play we are going to do is that we are going to search out the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon because of the effect of the Zafira. So this is our search target, and the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon says, if it is a monster, that is the important one at the bottom here. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell, a card, or effect, quick effect, you can place this card in your pendulum zone, and if you do, negate the effect. So this is a spell negate, and then also if this is in the pendulum zone because you have negated something during the end phase, you can add one ritual spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and then this one comes back to the hand. So if you use the interruption on your opponent's turn, you will also have an end phase effect that will also give you some follow-up, which is quite neat. The next play we are doing is to activate our Silence Forcing Prayer, which is our normal ritual summon card, giving away the Novox to summon our Skull Guardian, the Omni Negate that we already know. Obviously, we can now resummon the Novox because we have summoned Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster. The next play we are doing is that we are adding the Sour Avis by the effect of the Skull Guardian, because it was ritual summoned. We can add something, and we are adding the Sour Avis, which is also the new Sour Avis. We have seen the old Sour Avis, which is the big dragon we will also see in a moment. This one says you can special summon this card from your hand by shuffling 2 spells from your hand or graveyard into the deck. We will do that in a moment, at least 1 ritual spell. And then it also says, once per turn, this way, when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, special summon 1 Light Warrior or Dragon Ritual monster from your hand or deck, but shuffle it into the deck during the end phase of the next turn. We will use this new Sour Avis to summon the old Sour Avis and have an additional interruption, but we will see that in a moment. The next play we are going to do is that we are going to go into a Lingoribu with the Novox, because both are level 1. And now we are using the Lingoribu and the Dynamondo, sorry, not the Dynamondo, but the Skull Guardian to go into a Dynamondo. Same idea as we have done last turn. The Dynamondo we can use on our opponent's turn to bring back the Skull Guardian and the Novox to set the trap. So same thing as the last play. We are now special summoning the Sour Avis by banishing pre-prep or giving back pre-prep and Silence Forcing Prayer to the deck, so we can special summon the guy. And now we can also use the effect of Zafira, which we've also used before, to banish this, give away the Trias, and now summon the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon. And now we can pass over to our opponent, basically, and we are now in our opponent's turn. We can activate Dynamondo, which will bring back, of course, first you bring back the Skull Guardian and then the Novox comes back, so it's the other way around, but this is what happens. Now we can activate the Novox to once again set the trap here, and now we can also use Sour Avis effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, use Sour Avis, bounce the Sour Avis back to hand, and summon a Sour Avis from the deck, which, as you remember, we have read this before, says when your opponent was a special summon a monster, quick effect, you can return this card to the hand, negate the special summon, and if you do, banish that monster, which is quite nice, because normally we would have, as this card says here, shuffle it into the deck during the end phase of the next turn, so we would need to shuffle this back into the deck, but because we can use this to negate a special summon and then bounce it back to hand, we can basically circumvent this line from the new Sour Avis. So what we have here, obviously a bit like the example before, but better. We have the Omni Negate with the Skull Guardian, we have the Sour Avis that can bounce back or can negate a special summon. We have the Trap once again, which can pop multiple cards of our opponent. We have the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon, which is a spell negate, also searches as a ritual spell in the end phase, and then We also, oh yeah, this one will go to the grave. I have missed this one go to the grave because we already have activated this on the last turn. Obviously, this is also in the grave and gives us the option to resummon Sky Guardian if it should be destroyed. So with this 2-card combo, you can make a pretty strong board that also has a follow-up. So really amazing if you ask me. I think the deck is quite nice. Let me know in the comments what you think of the cards, of the design, of the combos. Is this something you want to pick up? This might be a very expensive archetype, depending on what the rarities will be here. There are also some old cards here, like for example the Diviner or the Sour Harvest, but then also the new cards, which we can only hope for will be cheap maybe, so everyone can pick up the deck. But let me know in the comments what you think of the deck and the combos. Is there anything else, any other combos you have in mind? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here. If you like my kind of videos, please consider subscribing, hitting the thumbs up and the notification bell, and we will see each other in the next one.